So you showed this movie to me. I had heard of him, but I had never seen a movie by this director until this, and was one of his first films.
Dogma #1, dude.
So this is Thomas Vinterberg, The Celebration.
This is like actually the actual cover because it's this discs and then it just says Dogma 1, The Celebration.
Do you want to explain to people what the Dogma rules are?
Well, I can't say like each of them specifically. I used to be really into Dogma, like a couple of years ago, because I'm a really big fan of Lars von Trier. I'm surprised we haven't even talked about him on the show at all, because like I'm like his biggest fan. Like one of my favorite like filmmakers, really eye-opening. Basically, Dogma 95 is a set of rules to deconstruct cinema, and then giving yourself limitations that actually spark creativity and something new. And that was kind of the whole movement of Dogma 95. I think Thomas Vinterberg and Lars von Trier met at the Sundance Film Festival one night, and they like...
A couple of other directors too, right?
Yeah, there were some other directors too, but it's mainly Lars von Trier and Thomas Vinterberg and some other dude. They like created a manifesto one night. I don't know if they got drunk or something, or maybe they did shrooms, because thinking about it now, maybe they did shrooms, because when you do shrooms, everything is deconstructed and you kind of see the code of everything. Yeah, like, so Dogma 95 is just a manifesto, set of rules for filmmaking, and no tripod shots, no music, no real actors, only real locations. The props in the movie have to be from like actual locations. You can't just put real props there, and you have to use only natural lighting. Mm-hmm. That's like just a few to name off the top of my head, which it creates a different vibe in the filmmaking. It's also digital too. You can't use celluloid, which creates an effect, which is the Dogma effect. And a lot of people adopt this, Thomas Vinterberg, Lars von Trier, and then Nicholas Winding Refn, who's kind of an offshoot of the Dogma 95 movement, even though a lot of people think that it really all that digital stuff with the Danish movement started with Pusher 1. And Mads Mikkelsen will say everyone thinks it was Lars von Trier and Thomas Vinterberg who started it, but really it was Nicholas Winding Refn who started it. Mm-hmm. When we get into the early 2000s, we have the whole, digital revolution in cinema, Star Wars, all of that. That all started with like the Danish filmmakers were the first ones to really like start off digitally. Yeah. And then everyone else like followed it. So Dogma 95 is kind of an underappreciated movement, and I would recommend studying it and watching films like The Idiots, or what we're talking about now, the Celebration. And then you have movies like Dancer in the Dark, which is fucking phenomenal. Dogville is a great deconstructionalist film. Yeah. I'm a big fan of minimalism in film and genre deconstruction, set deconstruction. Bertolt Brecht.
Harmony Korine too.
Yeah, Harmony Korine made a Dogma movie with Julian Donkey Boy. All those guys kind of evolved their style over time, mm-hmm. but there hasn't really been like another, like the Dogma movement kind of died out in like early 2000s.
What I think the importance of this is, and why we're so passionate about it, because I think we're people that we really believe in this, which is when you limit yourself as an artist, when you force limitations on yourself, you start thinking more creative for ways to like overcome those limitations. I think that's very true with these Dogma rules, and I think it's a shame that like a lot of people don't take that route more, and a lot of people take the easy route of cameras that do everything for you now. Yeah. You have lighting that is just fucking like built in, like
you have too many options now.
Now it's just so easy. Like if you deconstruct things and you have more of like a hurdle to get over, the greater the hurdle, the like higher you're gonna jump. I think that's really true in a lot of the Dogma movies I've seen. I think that's really true here in The Celebration. This is a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, it's really good because it really just strips everything down, and definitely like giving yourself limitations is a really important thing as an artist. Having like too many options, you can just work on something forever, Yeah. I've definitely been there, like worked on something like you don't ever know when it's finished. You kind of have to know when it's done. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's why Lars von Trier is such an influence on me. Not just because I love his movies, but like him as like artistically, I've like learned a lot from him. And he has a great documentary called The Five Obstructions, which is fucking
Is
really,
that where
really
he
good.
makes the guy remake
Yeah.
the shot like every 5 different times?
Yeah, he makes this guy remake his short film 5 different times with different limitations on each one.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. It's
Yeah.
it's really cool how he's able to take your limitations and make something actually way cooler than you would have ever thought, you know?
Yeah.
And you gotta have like a strict code, you
Yeah.
know? That's what the manifesto's about, dude. It's a
Yeah.
manifesto
Yeah.
for a reason. Yeah, I'm glad we actually picked to talk about this because like I'm into it because things, you know, I love deconstruction.
Well, I've been thinking about this movie a lot because I think it left
Especially
like a
thinking,
huge...
we're talking about the player, dude. Like,
Yeah.
talk about deconstruction,
Yeah,
bro.
exactly. And
Yeah.
like it's left a huge impact on me. This movie is so punch in the gut. It makes you so uncomfortable at times, but it also makes you so hopeful.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what it's about?
It's kind of like Succession, dude. No.
It is a little bit like Succession. Yeah, you're not wrong there.
It's kind of like Succession, except it's more heavy. It's heavier than Succession, bro. Succession is like Hollywood shit. It doesn't go to the depths of like what this movie goes to, like some real trauma shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like some actual stuff that you could never talk about in Hollywood movies, bro.
Yeah.
You can never talk about that, like when it comes to child abuse.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about in this movie.
This movie, if we follow this family, specifically this son that I think he's like a doctor or something. He's like very successful. And I think he lives in like France, and he's coming back
They're in Denmark.
They're in Denmark. He's coming back to Denmark for his father's
60th birthday.
60th birthday, yeah. And he hasn't seen his family in a while. He reconnects with his brother on the way over, like driving down the road, and his brother's kind of like a fuck up. His brother's like not invited to the party, but he shows up anyway, and this drunk fucking buffoon. His sister's there, and his sister's like, she's dating this African American guy, and that's like a big topic of the movie and stuff. And she's also like, you know, like very like pointed with her like views and stuff. And it's clear that this son we're following is the father's favorite son. It's clear that the son we're following is the favorite son. I'm not going to spoil it. There's this part in the movie where something is revealed about the family by the main character we've been following.
Wait, does the dad want him to take over his company?
I think his dad is like clearly, you know, entrusting his son with a lot. He's the favorite son. I don't know if it's necessarily taking over the company. I don't remember, but I know it is like, you know, there is money, there is the family name at stake, right? Yeah. He's not going to give it to the other brother. The other brother is like a fuck up. He's not going to give it to
There's a daughter too, right? There's
a daughter, yeah, but there's also a big thing is in this trauma too, in this fucked up family, is the main character we follow has a twin sister that committed suicide.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a big part of, you know, why this secret is revealed and why our main character has been away from his family for so long. And he was so close with her, you know, she was really the glue that held everyone together. There's this shift in the movie when the secret is revealed where everything gets so uncomfortable.
Yeah, at first it's like uncomfortable and you're like, I don't know if this is believable, and like no one believes it, you know, and they're like trying to throw the brother out of the party.
Yeah.
Like, they keep trying to like shut him up. Okay guys, we don't know what he's talking about or whatever. Like he like keeps coming back, and they're like, yeah, like he keeps coming back and like saying it, and then the dad's like has to take him away, like, dude, like why do you keep saying this? Like this is, like, and eventually it gets to a point where they have to like really like throw him out of the party.
I think they like punch him and stuff.
Yeah, they like tie him to a tree or some shit.
Yeah, that's right.
But eventually, like, by the end, they all come around and they kind of realize, like, the truth and shit.
Yeah, they all, like, the thing is, like, it's very much like Succession, where it's like, once he reveals this, they're like, oh, you're the odd man out. But then slowly all the siblings start to, rally around him.
Yeah.
You know? And, like, and suddenly by the end, it's like, there's really no question if the secret's true or not. It's like the damage is done, and they wake up the next day after this celebration, and it's this very somber breakfast they have, and like, it's just so good. I love too that the kitchen staff and all the people that work for the father are all
Oh
like,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
all helping the
yeah,
son the
yeah,
whole time. They're
yeah,
all like such bros to him, and
yeah.
everyone's there for him.
I like that aspect of it as well. And then I think it's kind of interesting because this guy who's a victim, he's kind of like this Christ-like figure in a way because he has to kind of go through, even though he himself is the victim, in order to reveal like his that he actually like had suffered something, he has to go through all this bullshit in order to really prove himself, and he has to like almost deal with a bunch of shit again in
Hmm.
order for like the truth to come out. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And that's
yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, and also it's like this truth he's revealing not only for himself but like for his sister, and like feeling like he failed her a little bit, you know. There's something really honorable about his plight, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, he definitely gets the short end of the stick at the beginning. Like definitely is just like, and it's
The arc is
so,
really good. The arc of the story, like
oh,
everyone believes
so
the dad in the beginning, and then in the end, it like flips. You know.
yeah, it's so good, and he's the prodigal son. You know, like, he has everything set up in front of him, but he still chooses to do this.
Yeah.
And there's something like very cool about that, but also like just makes a great, compelling story.
Mm.
In terms of Dogma 95, this movie achieves everything you want with the limitations it sets for itself.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think of just like how many limitations they had. Tripod, shooting on the fly, like changing dialogue the day of and stuff, and like everything they had to work with, how flexible
Yeah,
they
like no
were,
script. Yeah.
and they still made a great cohesive movie. And that's the test of like how talented something can be, with like when you have like true intention behind it.
Mm.
Love this movie. Yeah, so I'm glad we got to talk about this.
Yeah. Thomas Vinterberg, he's sick. The Hunt,
Another
another
round.
round. Yeah, those movies are really heavy too. He's a good director. Yeah, the Celebration. They like go there. These Danish directors, they really go there with their subject matter. There's no like dumbass gloss bullshit, corny, whatever. They actually just take it there, and I like that a lot about like just European directors in general compared to American ones. Everything in America is like, oh, there's a struggle, but the struggle is like not as bad as like something else like that could have happened to them or whatever. Yeah, genre deconstruction, family drama type shit.